Welcome, everybody. Happy Halloween. Wait, no, it'll be a day after Halloween. Happy pre-Halloween. Post. Fuck. You take it, Zach.
Welcome, everybody, to the Uneducation station. Of course.
I forgot one of the lights. Keep going, Zach.
Oh, my gosh. We are in shambles today. Happy Halloween.
Not Halloween.
It's not Halloween anymore, but I hope that you had a spooktastic freaking Halloween.
Or you stayed safe. Either one of them, you know?
Yeah. Stay in drugs. Don't do school.
Wait.
This
This is... Okay, hold on. Where's the zipper? God, how did Ken Kaneki do this, my man? All right, there we go. Now, this is going to look very awkward. You may be thinking to yourself, Zach, you may be looking at me and like, whoa, why does this guy I'm looking at look like Jackie Chan but age 16? You also may be thinking, that's a cool costume, Arthur. So, yeah, it is an old costume I have. And it's a Ken Kaneki Tokyo Ghoul. Everybody is cringing at home right now, but I just want you to know, I read the mango. So fuck y'all. I am a true fan. Although actually I didn't finish it. I'm like halfway through read, but I haven't read it in like a year. But it's a good mango. Yes. And I didn't watch the anime because there you go. I said I read the mango and I don't watch the Tokyo Ghoul anime. That's how you can tell I'm a real Tokyo Ghoul fan. Get fucked. All right.
Get fucked.
We were gonna do an Angel Beats episode, but then we made the conscious decision that, by the way, how does audio sound right now, Zach? Be honest. My audio. Yeah. I'm probably not going to keep this on. I'll keep it on for like the first 5 minutes, even though you know what they say, first impressions matter. Now a bunch of people just clicked off. But you know what? Where's the last podcast that you listened to, or not listened to because you wouldn't be able to tell, but watched, where homie was wearing a Ken Kaneki costume, and by that I mean just the mask, but I'm wearing all black. Because, you know.
And a windbreaker.
I'm wearing all black windbreaker. I have anime hair going on, Zach. This is why I didn't cut my hair. Part of it. And then also, you know. You know.
Lazy. Yeah.
Lazy. Well, I mean, I do like short hair, so. There's no reason for me to. Is all my movements getting into the mic, Zach?
I don't know. Move around a little. Not really.
Not really. Interesting. All right, because in my head, in my ears, it's making a lot of noise, but not like through the mic, but like, you know, when things move on your skin, you can feel the vibration, if you will.
Yeah, it's just echoing through your brain, and it's just a very bizarre sensation.
I think that's how that works. I'm not a brain doctor of any stretch of the imagination, but I will say one thing, Zach, this iPad is coming off. I'll keep my glasses off to stay in character. And then we'll decide if I keep the mask on. What are you, Zach?
I am a hippie.
What character are you, Zach?
I am a hippie.
What? From what movies? From what anime, Zach?
Scooby-Doo.
Oh, my favorite anime.
So there's a really funny story behind this costume, and I don't know if I've told you this story yet.
What is it?
So this costume, the reason why I have it is because my oldest brother actually ended up doing like a modeling gig where he modeled this costume. And you know how like at like Walmart or whatever, you'll see those costumes and then there's a picture of the person wearing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my older brother.
Oh, he did the thing.
He did the thing, yeah. And so in light of that, my parents bought like 10 of them. And so I don't know if this is the original costume that I've had this entire time or if it's a random iteration of one of the many costumes that I have.
Right.
But yeah, now I've been a hippie for, gosh, like 5 years because I just couldn't be asked to buy another costume.
I love that for you, Zach. To be fair, if you have like 10 of them, I don't see why you dress up anyways. I've worn this costume, I think 3 years now. Not in a row. Twice in a row. And no, actually, it might have been in a row, but for different occasions. One was for a Halloween party, one was for work, and then one is for today for the podcast. So it's different occasions.
Yeah,
you can't fault me on that.
No,
you know,
yeah, and
same thing. You know,
I mean, it's like if you have it and you don't feel like being super extra and putting in a ton of effort, it's like you asked me, you're like, do you want to wear a costume for the podcast? And I was like, sure.
Wait, I think you asked me actually.
Wait, did I?
Someone asked one party asked the other party, and the other party was down. So it was a mutual agreement to do so anyways. But yeah, it is interesting. I can't see anything. Like I don't know if the people can understand. Maybe if the people who are listening or watching is an owner of the unfortunate majority of us who has to wear glasses. I do not have glasses on. I can't see, Zach. I am blind. I'm trying to speak out of a mask with a very tiny opening, and it probably looks stupid. I can't tell. I can't see. Zach, I can't even make out your face. I can make out your face. It's not that bad. But I can't see the whites of your eyes. So I cannot shoot. History joke. Ha! I promise I'm making eye contact when I speak to you. I promise I'm trying to look toward. I'm trying to find you. I'm hunting right now. I'm like the autofocus on my Lumix over there. It's shit. But except it'll never focus. It'll focus up to here. I'm a macro lens, Zach.
Yeah, and then there's me where I'm farsighted. So if I took my glasses off, I could see you, but I just can't read.
You just can't read.
Yeah.
Well, I can't read in general. So, I'm just a lose-lose.
Glasses on, glasses off, still can't read. Interesting fact. I used to be in like a slow reading class because I
really
could not see for shit. And this all started before I got glasses, and they were like, oh, you need to be in this reading class. And then I got a pair of glasses, and then I could read just fine. And they were like, I have no idea why the hell you were here.
They just assumed you were slow in that area.
Yeah.
Even without that. So they're I'm trying to picture this in my mind. Kid just needs glasses. It's like, no, he's just slower than other kids. No, he just can't. Do you have a PhD in counseling? I didn't think so.
He can see just fine. He's
just not telling the truth. He's just stupid. Now, to be fair, Zach, I'm not very good at reading. So I was back then. I was not the opposite in the sense that I was good at reading, but then I turned bad over the years, I guess. But I was like one of those kids who were doing like the accelerated type stuff.
Yeah.
One of those nerds. I was doing the reading and the writing and stuff. So I was pretty good at it. And then something happened. I don't know what. I must have been dropped on the head because I now read for shit. And I am the slowest reader of all time. I can't even finish reading a chapter of my light novel, Zach, in a lunch break. 30-minute lunch break. 20 minutes if I want to eat food. A chapter. A couple pages. I'd just be like,
wow.
oh shit, I forgot. I'm gonna start the page.
See, it's not that you're bad at reading. I think you and I have a similar problem where it's like I don't even remember what I just read.
Yes, that's what it is.
And it's really funny because I went from being in a slow reading class to once I got glasses and once I went into middle school, I was reading like at like a high school or college level.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just stopped reading, and now I just
Yeah. Crazy how you stop doing something and you get bad at it.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. Yeah. I'm trying to break through that though, because like I said, I'm reading light novels now, and as we discussed before, even though there's an anime girl on in the cover page, it's still a book.
Words. It still has words.
It still has words and blocks of paragraphs. Still exists. It's not just a different type of a manga. No, it's a book. Well, whether you want to believe it or not, and that's forcing me to get better at reading. And I have been. I'm still reading slowly because, like I said, I only read during my lunch breaks, which gives me only like 20, 30 minutes, which is kind of rough.
Yeah.
So even though I do read slow, even someone who reads fast, they still can't get much out of that. But I am noticing I'm starting to read a little faster now, for the most part, or at least get better at the whole reading a block of text and understanding that and not having to wait. I don't know what I just read, honestly, and then I go back. I'm getting better at that.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing that. So that's good. Progression.
I think the hard thing is you want to try to read faster than your brain will let you. And so if you're going through like super quick, then you're like, fuck, what did I just read? And then you have to go back and do it again. And it's weird to try to figure out what pace you read at. I think that that's something that not a lot of people really put a lot of thought into. It's like the reason why some people can't type fast is because they can't read fast. And for like those typing tests and whatnot, you have to read the words and then type them out.
Right.
And so like, I think my problem is my hands are faster than my brain. And so I can only type at like, 70, 80 words a minute.
I think that's why Monkey Types, shout out to Monkey Types again. I think this is like the third shout out. It's a great website. It's fun. How it just doesn't really create sentences.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the science behind it. I didn't really look into it. I don't even know if they have like a scientific backing. They don't need to when it's whatever. But I feel like I like that better than traditional where you have to type a sentence because yeah, you do have to read ahead. But as we were just saying, your brain and your eyes can, make out words because it is our native language, and the way we read is we see, we recognize the shapes in our brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how that works. I'm sure you get. Like for example, if you were to, those memes I get. I'm just going to use a loose term as meme, but it's like they type a sentence, but it's like completely like as if you smash your head on the keyboard, but it maintains some of the letters of the original words, and you can make out the sentence. And like I can remove all the vowels, and you can still make the sentence out. And it's because we grab context from the sentence of what we think it's supposed to say, but also we just recognize the shape as it's our language, and we've been reading it since we were kids. Yeah. So that's how we read, as far as I'm concerned, right? That's what makes sense to me. So that's fine and dandy, but when that also adds processing power. So when you have to do something like Monkey Types, where it is no sentences, it's just words. Your brain, your eyes and your brain make out the words, and it functions with your fine motor skills of your fingers to just type the words. And frankly, as you're typing, you don't even know, you probably haven't even processed what word you typed.
Yeah.
Because you've just eliminated that. You eliminated that process. And I think Monkey Types lets you type faster in that sense. But also with that same logic, if you can understand the context of a complete sentence, you can predict what the sentence is going to say. So they're two different fields.
Yeah. It's definitely two sides of the same coin. Huh?
I felt like something fell.
Oh no, I just accidentally kicked the chair.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's two sides of the same coin, and it's kind of hard to explain in a way that makes sense, but
it does.
They're related, but they're not, and I mean it makes sense.
It's just the example of what I said with like the mismatched words and stuff,
Yeah.
Like doing Scrabble. If you think about is that the right word? Like when remember I don't even know if people still, old people, I guess, the app and the game, and there's just you get some sort of, or I guess it would be levels, and you get a word, but it's the letters are only there, and it's like mismatched, and you have to figure out what the word is.
Oh yeah.
Is that Scrabble? No, Scrabble is the word game. The thing.
Yeah.
No, okay, I'm thinking of word scramble, something like that.
Words. I don't remember what the app
but you know
is
what
called,
I'm talking about.
I used to play it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you put it on paper, how that is pretty hard to do. Like when you write it, when you think about it logically or technically, I suppose. It's just a bunch of random letters that could be anything. How in the world do you figure out, how do you make a word out of that?
Yeah.
At least, immediately, I suppose. Obviously you can just take every letter and then do some sort of, all right, does this work? No, this work not, and do it that way. That would be the technical way. But practically, logically, how can you just look at something like that, like a keyboard smash, and be like, oh, that just means this,
Yeah.
That's it. I find that so fascinating. I don't know, because I took a couple classes like that, like psychology classes, brain development types. Well, maybe not brain development specifically, but classes on like human development in general, and brain neurological system had to be part of it, and I found that interesting.
Yeah, there are a lot of interesting things that you can learn in school, or those types of things that can give you kind of a greater understanding of not necessarily the how something works, but why it works that way. And I've always been super fascinated like that, and I've probably mentioned it a couple times on the show where it's like learning why certain things interact with each other in a certain way is just super fascinating. Like, oh gosh, wow, it just went on. Like, why fire needs oxygen to
Sure.
fire.
To fire, yes.
To fire. You know, you understand kind of how it works. Like, oh yeah, you know, because combustion and carbon dioxide and
But the idea of it working is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, why, like, yes, on like this is how it works, and it's written in how it works. But the fact that that's how that works is
Yeah.
interesting. I see what you're coming from.
Yeah, and
The world is very mystical.
it's very, very interesting.
Magic
And,
exists.
yeah.
I think so.
Well, there's
far as
a
I'm
certain there's a certain type of magic to nature.
I think so too.
And when you think about the fact that, you know, there are so many things that are happening, like even in the human body, that is just like, you know, everything works kind of like a well-oiled machine. And you know, I've been spending some time learning about like the respiratory system,
Yeah.
the heart, you know, the digestive system, and it's just
Since you're in the medical field.
yeah, because I'm working in medicine, and it's very similar, and
Mhm.
obviously, you know, it's different with animals as opposed to humans, but the fundamentals are pretty much the same. Like the way that the heart works, the way that the lungs work.
Even a broader sense, like plants and living organisms that don't have a soul, but they still live, you know?
Yeah,
They still function in a way as if they had a mind of their own, but they don't have a soul, if you will. I mean, if you want to get into that feel or that level, I don't know, that ballpark, souls are kind of more of a human representation of something that we think, that's something we've defined.
yeah,
But you know, it is interesting though. Like I could, like, no matter how hard I try, Zach, no matter what language I learn, I cannot speak with a flower.
yeah,
Unless maybe I was a psychopath. But in general, I don't think, if no matter how much nature I study, I don't think I can have a conversation with a tree.
right.
Sorry, that sentence sounds so stupid. I'm trying to. How are you today, tree? Oh, it's all right. You know, it's kind of
Windy.
a little damp today. You know.
Yeah, I got some good food from,
You know,
the water, photosynthesis and shit.
the squirrel put some nuts in me. The squirrel put his nut in me.
Anyways, moving on. So, speaking of like trees and shit, I don't know how. I think the hippie costume is bringing out like a gotta save the trees, man. But it's really cool because my uncle, he used to work for the Forest Service, and so he was very, very knowledgeable when it comes to nature and those types of things, and I learned a lot from him. And you know, even when I was a little kid, like learning about like the rings showing you how old a tree is and like those types of things, like it's just really, really cool to just kind of learn that stuff. And I saw a picture that my parents took when they took a trip to the redwoods of this tree and it had like different timestamps on it. It was a tree that either got chopped down or fell down or something. And it was showing like human progression, like the colonization of the United States and like those types of things. I think
cool.
it went back to like 1300 or something like that, which is insane to think that a tree existed in the United States before the United States existed. You know, because
before the United States stated.
Yeah, exactly. And before the colonies colonized. It's just so fascinating because like I feel like we kind of forget that the world was here before we were. And I'm not just talking about us, because obviously, you know, it's only been a couple decades.
Right.
But when you think about like modern humanity. Like, it's so interesting.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the reason why not to go into the psychological or the theme of the episode that we normally do towards the end type of thing to conclude early, but like, you know, it's why I always say no matter modern human, and it's good to focus on the present always, 100%, always 100%. But at the same time, you got to remember there is a rich backstory, and it goes way farther than you can even count. You know?
Yeah.
So whatever, you know, it's more of like a life motto thing, a life agenda thing of mine, where it's just like things happen, and you know, it's kind of more of along the theme that we always talk about. Time moves on, you know, and things happen. What do you know? There's millions of years before us that where things also happened, you know. So you know, don't worry about it too much. Something happens now, it might smooth itself out another time, you know, that type of thing. And life will just continue evolving. So who the fuck cares, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a loose type of motif theme type of thing, you know? That's a loose. That's a more broader one of the ones that we've always been talking about of kind of live in the moment type of thing. But that's another way to think about it, I suppose, you know? I mean,
yeah.
You think of tragedies that are happening today and they suck, but tragedy's been happening for years, you know? So it's like, kind of think a little bit more in a much outer perspective before you start kind of getting a little too passionate on something you don't need to be too passionate about, I suppose.
Yeah, and if you think about it with the mindset of the world was here before you and the world will continue to be here after you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are just renting a room in a way on this planet.
You really want to talk about angel beats, don't you?
No,
that's what we're leading into. We're getting there.
I mean, I don't mean for it to be that way, but it's ironic that it kind of it parallels. But I love how that's where this conversation is going.
It's what happens, bro. If you watch Angel Beats, that's wait. Okay, I'm trying to think. So you watched it literally this week.
Yeah.
So, but we talking about that 2 episodes from now, which this will go up, so nobody even knows what we're talking about, that you've been watching Angel Beats. So now we have to preface that you've been watching Angel Beats again. You've been watching Angel... Wait, did we? No, this will go up in a... Okay, the timelines are fucked, Zach.
So this episode's going up on the day after Halloween.
The 1st, yes. And I think we talked about you watching Angel Beats and then having an Angel Beats episode 2 episodes after this. I think.
Oh, God.
So the timelines are going to be fucked, Zach.
It's okay. So anyways.
It's okay. So
I started watching Angel Beats.
I don't think this will be the Angel Beats episode yet.
It's not going to be the Angel Beats episode.
Not while we're dressed like this. I feel like we need to be serious.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you talking about? I'm very serious, Zach. Look me in the eyes. I'm very serious.
Do I look like a joke to you?
Not now, phone. No.
So anyways, yeah, so I started watching Angel Beats and we were talking about it very briefly. And it has a lot of motifs that I would love to sit down and talk about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
At a different time, but it's
we have to steer past for now.
we have to kind of segue away because I think that's definitely going to be a very
and now we're gonna blue balls them because it won't be for 3 more episodes.
I mean, we brought this up. Last week. No, yes. 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I did bring it up because I pitched the show to you, and then you unfortunately watched it, which was not the intent.
You pitched the show to me unknowing of the fact that I was going to go and watch it,
which is funny because I ended up rewatching it on a whim, and then you ended up watching it on a whim. Like It was like 2 a.m. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch Angel Beats. Why the fuck not? For no reason.
Yeah, and I proceeded to watch 6 episodes in one day, just randomly over the weekend, and I was like, fucking. Yeah. You were like, you're not watching Angel Beats, are you? And I sent you a picture of your Crunchyroll on episode 7, and I was like, no.
God. First July in April, and now this. Oh man. The key visual experience. I cannot wait to speak about it, but we're gonna bleed balls you for now. Anyways,
I will say though, and this is definitely going way away from what we were originally talking about. I am really enthralled and interested in the way that these stories are told, and it's sad, and the fact that it's able to be sad is definitely a testament to the storytelling abilities of the people who make these shows. Because if you weren't interested in the characters and you weren't fascinated by the story, then you wouldn't be emotionally invested in these characters. You wouldn't end up growing a connection to these characters. And then, if they die or something, it doesn't end up having that emotional impact. And like, you talk about like movies in the mainstream media, like the Scream movies, like those stupid thrasher horror movies where it's like you have no emotional investment in these people, and so it's just like, oh, that kind of sucks, and then you just move on with your life instead of it being like this devastating thing where it's like, oh my god, like holy shit. Like I definitely have to commend the key visual people and the people who are able to tell these stories, because it's hard. It's really hard. Like being able to make a convincing story in general is really difficult, but making a story that's sad.
Yeah.
And like we've talked about Your Name, we've talked about Josie, we've talked about Your Lie in April, like these sad shows and movies that end up having an emotional impact on you. And, after we finished Your Lie in April, you had already watched it. We were both sitting there like, holy shit, like, wow. And it was the same thing with like a lot of the stuff that we've watched. And I mean, I don't know if you're just trying to make me a sad boy, but
no. What happens, Zach, is you're experiencing not necessarily a trope in anime, you're experiencing Eastern Asian media.
Yeah.
Which happens to be tragedy. That's the thing here. Or over there. Here, what is it? It's just a bunch of fucking screaming and drama. But it's a
and sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah, that. Over there, and you'll notice this theme when you watch Asian production stuff. Asian films, Asian dramas, Asian soap operas, If you're unfortunate to have a family member who watches those and they force you to watch them with you, I'm so sorry. But some of them are good. It plays this role in tragedy because in my opinion, I don't watch as many, so I can't really put or say why, but or why they have this overall motif. And it's not because they're a bunch of sad boys, but it's more, in my opinion, what I think is happening is perspective, because there's a lot of places where, or I guess not really necessarily places, just Asia in general, they don't have this reputation of an outwards appearance of your typical society where it's all like, there's sadness and depression and stuff, That stuff is not really conveyed too much, especially like, for example, in Japan. Japan is probably the worst out of them all, if I had to say so myself. Japan is like this on the outside, like even to us. I read up a lot and I watch a lot of Japanese content, and so I know about the stuff. But if had I not, I would have continued thinking Japan is this just utopia of happy people doing happy people shit, doing crazy, having huge, gigantic bowls of ramen challenges and shit every day, that's what I would assume Japan is, this magical holy land of anime and shit, and frankly, technically it is, since anime is Japanese, holy land. Sorry. But a lot of cultures like that in Asian culture, they don't really show that sadness, sorrow, despair thing. And sorry, I know in my culture specifically, it's not something that we usually typically show. Like, I mean, even in my own family, usually you don't really speak to your parents or your relatives. Well, maybe your relatives, but not necessarily like close parents and closer intermediate family, I suppose, about troubles and stuff. Or You do, but not to the extent that you would hear like in any other family, like your family, for example. You would totally talk with your dad if you were like, feeling down or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or your parents or something like that. Yeah, that's without a doubt that would happen. Obviously, that's why would you not? And I feel the same way, of course. And it's changing in our culture because now that we're living in America, and my family has been living in America, they have been exposed in that type of
environment.
Environment. And they start to open up more. And you're seeing that not only with my generation and the generation after, but also my previous generation, my parents and my aunts and uncles, because they're, I mean, I'm not just speaking out of my ass. They're saying, I was never able to talk to my parents, our grandparents, about, things that were troubling us, because that's just kind of not how it works,
Yeah.
It's just, that's not a bad thing necessarily. It just ends up being just culture, and it's hard to just change culture, one just doesn't change tradition just to do it.
Yeah. And I think the interesting and very fascinating thing is that also comes with the type of lifestyle that they were living.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you talk about like your parents, your grandparents, all of these types of things, you look back in history and look at what was going on during that period of time. And you think, yeah, well, no shit. We didn't sit and talk about, oh, I had a bad day at school today because, little Jimmy has an older brother that's off at war. And like, there are all of these things that are going on in the world around you that just kind of takes a backseat. And we are fortunate to be in the position that we're in right now where those types of things aren't really happening. And so you are given more of an opportunity to be able to open up and be able to be vulnerable and be able to have those conversations because, there isn't a bunch of weird, horrible shit going on in the world. Well, there always is, and there always will be, but not to that extent, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you.
So it makes sense if you look at it from like a chronological standpoint. Like my grandpa was born in 1928. Holy shit. He was born into the Great Depression, dude. Like, holy shit. And it's just really crazy when you look back at history, when you read it in history books, it sounds like it was so long ago. And then you have conversations with those people who were living in it, and they're still alive. Like you talk to freaking people who, their parents were in World War II or, in the Vietnam War, in the Korean War, like all of these things that were going on in the world during that time. Like that wasn't really that long ago. And I mean, the year 1980 was 40 years ago, which is crazy to think about now, but it's like, it's a bizarre thing to try to comprehend. Like
no, it's just it's hard to think about when you put it on paper and into perspective. Like, yeah, that was only a couple decades, a handful of decades ago,
Yeah.
Something else was only a century ago. And so much happened between 1900s and 2000s, and so much happened between 2000 and 2010s. Sometimes you think, I don't know, maybe not too much is happening because you're living it, and you're only focused on your life, and part of your life was schooling of learning the past. So part of your life was learning not even your own life. So you see or you read about in schools all of these events and these wars and all these crazy big things that took place within only a couple of years, decades apart from each other. So, for example, a bunch of wars and such, and the Great Depression, all that in the 1900s, 2000, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So and then everything that took place from 1800 to 1900 and 1700 to 1800, all the way to ACD. I almost said ACDC. My bad. BC and from AC to BC, right? And then further beyond.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen. So when you kind of take a step back and just kind of remember, life is things just kind of happen, whether you want it to happen or not,
Yeah.
And whether it's directly relates to you or not will depend on you and depend on your situation. But not only is a lot of things happening during your lifetime, things will continue to keep happening. And you will more or less be fine if you kind of stick your guns with it and deal with it, because there is not going to be a time where bad or big, whether they be bad or good, big things don't happen.
Right.
You know, and like you said, there are some people like grandparents, great grandparents who are still kicking it, even though it's they grew up in literally into the Great Depression. I couldn't even imagine being a parent giving birth to a child during the Great Depression. That must have been terrible.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
And I can't even. No matter how much I say that I sympathize with them or empathize with them, I cannot. There's no way I can match that that outwards feedback and opinion on something like not having money to raise your child, and then times 50 billion.
Yeah.
You know, and then you think about that. And then we come present day, and that child has a family who has kids.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe, has a family who has kids. Maybe one less family, because then that would go like great, and that'd be kind of a mess. But even great still exists. That's a smaller ratio. But, you know,
Yeah.
you do think about that. And I think about it with my own family. As I always say, you know, my own family, they escaped from Laos to America, dealing with a bunch of hardship and stuff, and they're still here, and they, you know, my parents are able to get a big house like I have right now, and they're living a great time, a great life now. They're stable, and they're able to support their children and potentially their children's children, you know. And I think about that a lot. You know, they lived a terrible life, but they were able to push through it, and look what came out of it. I'm here because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and a great example of just the escalation of things over the course of time is another common theme on our show, tech.
Tech.
You look at the first iPod came out 20 years ago in 2001, right? So over the course of the last 20 years, we went from the iPod to the iPhone 13. That's a big leap.
That is.
Like you look at computers from, you know, the Windows XP days to now, and just the capabilities and the way that we're able to use them so differently now over the course of 25 years, which is insane. It's really, really crazy to see.
Go ahead.
It's really crazy to see just a visual representation, like a tangible example of how much can change in such a short period of time. And I say a short period of time, and you may be sitting there thinking, oh, 20 years, 25 years, that's a really long time. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, you look at how long we have lived on this planet, not even as a country, but as a species, 25 years is not a long time. And you look at the difference between, you know, the 1950s, or like 1950 to 1975, you know, and that's a really, really weird, crazy leap in development. And I feel like it's getting exponentially more as we move along, because we are able to have resources to be able to make these types of evolutions, like virtual reality. Do you remember when Nintendo tried to do virtual reality?
I think so.
That was, oh god, that was fucking horrible.
I can't remember
the
what that was
Virtual
for.
Boy.
Wait, do I know that? That might have been phased out of my memory. I cannot. Was that during our? Yeah, it was definitely during our lifetime. But when was that between? Was that before?
Oh,
that was
gosh.
after the Wii, right?
I think no, that was.
Was it much before?
I don't know. Let me see.
All right, let's go live reading. I'm gonna say probably GameCube days.
Let's see.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
That.
Oh, 95.
95?
Yeah.
Wow. We were trying virtual reality asterisk in 95?
Yeah.
Bro, when PlayStation did virtual reality, we're like, bro, this is stupid. You know,
and
we
that,
had no faith in it at all.
and that was in what, like 2015?
Yeah, when even before I don't think PlayStation was even the first one. I just said PlayStation. You know, Oculus probably even, you know, when figuring it out and stuff. And whenever they dropped their first thing, I was like, well, this is stupid. This is expensive. And I'm gonna buy an expensive computer with it. Well, this is stupid. Did I mention this is stupid? Now look at us, Zach. We're Beat Sabering and doing shit. Virtual reality is cool, and the Oculus Rift 2 is $300. And you don't even need a or is it the Rift or is it the Quest that you don't need a PC with it?
I think it's the Quest.
Is it the Quest? Okay. One of them you don't even need a computer with it.
Right.
The Oculus Rift 2, it's 300. I mean, you got to sign into Facebook, so if you're against that, then you know you're against that. But if you can get past that barrier, that's really good. That's crazy. So, you know, you'd think, again, you know, hardships, you know, like virtual reality starting in 95, it's a cool concept, sure. And then it kind of evolves a little bit after it's no longer, and now that after it's turning into more from an idea to something that's tangibly available to the public. And we're like, and it's the early adoption stuff. It's shit, you know, and it's kind of, well, not shit. Virtual reality, it was cool, but it was just not matured yet. So everybody was like, and it was super expensive. And we're like, and like, are we really is this really gonna be the future of gaming? And now here we are. It may not be the future of gaming, but it sure is a big factor in it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at, especially with virtual reality in the very beginning, you know, there wasn't really a whole lot to it. There wasn't a whole lot of things that were available for it. There wasn't very many games for it, all of these different types of things because this technology was so new. And now there's so much that you can do with virtual reality. Like you can play fucking Minecraft in VR. Like that's the coolest thing. And it's not just Minecraft too. There are a lot of games that have implemented virtual reality, and it's become such a fascinating concept that has been put into action by so many different people. And that just blows my mind. And you look at, you know, mobile gaming, you look at gaming as a whole, you know, the fact that we're able to buy and build something that can play games at higher settings with better performance than Sony or Microsoft with the Xbox or the PlayStation or all of those different types of things. Like the fact that we have access to all of these really, really amazing things is just the coolest thing in the world. And it's awesome to be able to watch the progression over the course of time, even over the course of our lifetime. And, you know, my dad, he was a grown-ass adult when all of this was happening. And, like, you know, he used to have, oh, gosh. I'd like a pin pad. It was like basically you had like a calendar on it, like a notebook and like all of that kind of stuff. I think it had like, oh gosh, like kilobytes of storage.
Yeah.
And my dad was super hyped on it. And it's funny because he'll sit there and tell me all the time, he'll say, you know, I wonder if there's a way to put my cell phone and this personal manager together. And, you know, this was back in like the early 90s.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to see ideas that he had become what they are now.
That's
and
so
and I mean,
crazy.
obviously he wasn't involved in any of that, but like, you know, he was asking those types of questions that the people who created those things were asking. And he was able to see the slow progression over the course of time, and he was able to learn how to understand all of it. And I feel like that's why I'm such a tech nerd. Like, obviously, I'm friends with like you and Ben and like all of those people who are super into tech and gaming and all that kind of stuff. But I think my dad is one of the main reasons why I'm so interested in tech, because, you know, I was doing the whole father-son bonding. I held a flashlight while he built a PC and I act like I helped type thing. And this is when I was like 12, 13 years old. And to watch it all happen, and then at the end of the day see the stuff that he made and I helped. It's just so cool, and learning so many different things that revolve around technology is super cool. And that just comes with time. And, you know, people will sit there and say, like, time is a cure to all of the world's problems. Kind of is. If you wait long enough, the problems
someone's gonna solve them.
Yes, either someone's gonna solve them, or nobody, like none of the people who are having that problem are gonna be around anymore. It's definitely a very fascinating concept, and the fact that in the grand scheme of things, if you think about this floating rock that we're sitting on in the middle of space, in the middle of infinity that is becoming more infinite, it's like, wow, that's really fucking cool.
Even more than that, man. Elon is trying to create civilization in Mars. That's another floating rock.
It's the nearest inhabitable floating rock that's like, oh gosh, how many miles away? Like millions of miles, right?
Dude, who would have thought we'd be doing that? Who would have thought that after sitting on this rock for so long that we weren't going to just give up humanity after we've supplied its rich nutrients and sucked it dry.
Right.
You know? What are we looking at?
241 million miles to Mars.
All right, this is a walk.
Just a jaunt.
Just a to the park and back.
Even with the amount that we have progressed in traveling in any capacity, you know, it went from a horse to a car to a plane to a fucking spaceship. 241 million miles. That's so fucking far away. Like, that is not even, like, there is no tangible representation of that distance.
Okay. But, as you just explained, who the fuck would have thought after walking, these boots were made from walking, and now I'm on a horse. And now I'm covering this amount of distance from this time to this time. And then we got automobiles. And now we're covering this distance from this time to this time to this time. And then, well, maybe before that, at some point, timelines are fucked right now. Aeroplanes in the sky like shooting stars. Now we're over here. You know, I think for now, the goal has always been just making, traveling faster. And because, well, frankly, we can't make things closer to us. The only thing we can do is get there faster.
Do you want to know something really cool?
What is something really? Do share with the class.
So, I was just randomly going down the YouTube rabbit hole, as one might.
As one does.
And I learned about the first supersonic commercial airliner, Concorde. They flew at an altitude that was way higher than commercial aircraft, which, I mean, duh. It broke the fucking sound barrier, Arthur. That's fast. That's very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it could go from New York to London in, I think, like 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
4 hours, maybe.
Holy moly.
And the only thing was that it was breaking the fucking sound barrier. And so it had to be international travel. Because, like, imagine the noise complaints that you would get if you were flying from, like, you know, Washington to Florida and you broke the fucking sound barrier. And it's like, bro, that's insane. They ended up shutting down the Concorde because of environmental reasons, and also,
Right.
it would cost like 10 grand to go on a flight on the Concorde.
That's another day for Bezos.
Yeah, another day for Bezos. But like, that is insane to think about. And this was in the 80s, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh man.
I'm gonna look this up because
I
this
gave
is
Zach
insane.
computer. Sorry. I gave you computer privilege because I can't
Yeah.
see the computer and he's having a time. This is great, but I understand what you mean. So imagine if we had that kind of speed readily available for the people.
Yeah,
Imagine I'm just like, you know what? I'm feeling a little cheeky today. I'm gonna go to fucking London. You know, Zach, I'm feeling some sushi right now. Let me just go to Japan for today, and back. I'm feeling some Wagyu beef, which just means Japanese beef. You know, I'm feeling some Japanese cuisine right now. I can drive 30 minutes down the road to a Japanese store, or I can sit on a flight for like 3-4 hours and have dinner in Japan.
2 hours and 52 minutes from New York to London.
2 hours and 52 minutes, so just under 3 hours.
Just under
That's
3 hours.
crazy. Some people just drive from Washington to California because they're fucking bored, Zach, and that's longer than 3 hours. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can wait 3 hours. Zach, that's like 2 seasons. That's like a season or 2 of anime. And then I'd be in London.
So I'm seeing from 1978 to 2003.
Okay.
Wait, I'm gonna look up the first flight.
I'm gonna switch your camera real quick. Sorry.
It's fine.
Okay.
When did the Concorde start flying?
Here we go.
1969 to 2003, Arthur.
Nice.
Bro, that's insane. Twice the speed of sound. Oh God.
Oh
You're
god.
somebody's pushing buttons.
I
think
actually
it's
didn't.
me.
I didn't press anything, but I was about to, so that's your fault.
Oh.
Hopefully, I didn't get doxxed there.
It's okay.
Now I have to remember to. That's okay.
So was operated from 76 to 2003. Wait, what? I don't know. Anyways,
69.
twice the speed of sound. Over twice the speed of sound. Mach 2.04.
Wow.
1,354 miles per hour. That's fucking insane.
Zach, I don't listen. We can, as long as we're patient, that will be commercial at some point.
It already was.
It's going to be expensive as shit, but as we explained before, as things become more commercial and available to the public, it'll come down in price. There will be jank versions. You probably don't want to go on the jank version. If I had to, maybe not. Maybe skip out on that one. Pay for the premium, maybe. You got to pay for the monthly subscription on that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we can get to a point where Teslas and electric cars are the same price as a new Corolla, or even a used Corolla, we make it a couple years in, and now there's used Teslas for a super low price. Then I'm pretty sure then we can do some shit like this if we just wait. Maybe not in our lifetime, but at some point. And that's cool. So we just gotta wait.
It's insane, dude. It's really, really insane because you look at things that happened 50 years ago in 1969. Like, that's insane. And that's the type of innovation that sparks like a domino effect. You have that one company, that one person who decides that they want to do something absolutely insane. And then there are going to be people who are going to want to replicate it. And we've talked about this before with the iPhone. You know, there were people who were like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. And then now look at where we are. And that's, oh gosh. 15 years of evolution in tech. And if there is that competition, there's that drive in other things, then just imagine what the future is going to look like for travel. Like, dude, I remember I used to think, well, I mean, I still kind of think this way, but like the Prius, you know, it was like one of the first commercial hybrid cars.
Mhm.
Probably not the first, but one of the first that you saw on the road all the time. And, you know, there would be people like me who were like, wow, that looks kind of stupid. And then, you know, a couple years later, we get another company that does hybrid cars, and then a bunch of companies do hybrid cars. And now we're going full electric. And now we're getting to the point to where, you know, Papa Elon built a fully electric car that's fast as shit, can go 0 to 60 in like 3-4 seconds, which is fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I'm excited to see what happens next, because obviously Tesla is like dominating the full electric space. And so I'm interested to see what's going to happen in the future for Tesla and for automotive industries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's very fascinating to think about where we are now and where we could potentially be.
It is.
It's very, very interesting.
I just wish, I don't know. I think in our lifetime, I'm gonna say it now. I think in our lifetime, I think electric vehicles will be more plausible.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, if you really think about it, I feel like automobiles and cars for our previous generations probably had the same effect. I'm sure the first Ford probably cost a fucking fortune. Relatively, I suppose.
With the time, yeah.
Yeah. You know? So I feel like we're just seeing that kind of same thing. I mean, we still got a lot of life ahead of us. We think about it, we're 20, 21, and we're like, you know, kind of getting old, but no, we're not. Not yet. I feel old though, but we're not. You know, we got time. So I'm excited to just witness things, man. Even if it's just in my fucking reclining chair, my recliner's rocking chair in the porch, when I'm 80 years old, 90 years old, and the iPhone 50 billion comes out, I'm like, nice.
I remember when the first iPhone came out.
Dude, I swear that's what people who are like around our age are gonna say when we're like old. It's just like,
I remember when Nintendo brought out the GameCube, and I remember when the first iPhone came out. I remember when phones used to have buttons,
you know, like just some weird.
We were
shit.
here for the internet, Zach.
We still had dial-up in my house when I lived in Vegas.
That's what I'm saying. We were here for maybe not. When did the internet start? Was that before the 90s? Was that in the 90s?
It was in the 90s.
It was definitely in the 90s. So give or take, around this time, we were born in the creation of the internet. I don't think you understand what I'm saying, Zach. The internet. The thing that everybody uses. The things that connects everybody around the world together. The thing that
1993.
93, give or take a couple years, Zach, in the grand scheme of things that we were just talking about, we were basically born into the beginning of the internet. That's something that's pretty cool to say to our kids, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say that's not necessarily too boomer talk because, I mean, you never know. Maybe there's something beyond I don't know what the fuck that would be. But then again, nobody knew what the fuck the internet would be. What if there's something beyond the internet? We just don't know that yet. And I find that fun and interesting. I can't wait to find that out, Zach. When I'm in my rocking chair, and I'm doing this. Maybe not as fast, but it's not. I'm not rocking it. Electronics are rocking it for me because it's an automatic rocking chair, Zach. And it rocks at a speed of which is able to maintain somewhat of my stamina at age 90.
Keep the blood circulation
At
going.
age 112 because I'm in a cryogen at the moment. Preserving myself.
Bro, can you imagine getting put into a box and waking up like 50 years later?
Dude. I'm pretty sure that's how comas work. Wait, I don't think I can say that. Sorry, that's tasteless. But they were thinking we're already starting to do those type of stuff. Maybe
Yeah.
not necessarily like put you in an ice box and wake up a decade later, but things like that to increase your longevity, your lifespan. It's happening. There's experiments on that going on. And this has been going on since I believe last year, so I don't know what it's at right now. But there are things where like you just go into these like chambers or something, and you have this well, not like what I don't know what word you would use. These kind of regular sessions of doing it, and you would expand your lifespan.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, they're even thinking. Now this gets scary because now we're getting into things that we are all afraid of. Injections of certain types of genes of which to revitalize certain things, whether it be a limb that may amputate. I mean, obviously, my arm's not going to grow back, but to regrow some of those fibers of whatnot, and like I just said, to increase lifespan. That's a thing that's going on. Now let me tell you, Zach. Let me ask you something. I'm gonna ask you a question, Zach.
Okay.
The world's first ever lifespan continuer chamber thing, 3000 innator. The world's first early adoption.
Mm-hmm.
You may sign up if you would like to. Are you doing it?
Honestly, I think I would, just to see if it works. Like, there's that sense of morbid curiosity, like, how bad could it be? It's like,
I grow an extra arm. That'd be fucking cool. Fuck it, dude.
dude, you could call me tripod man. Like I think that the risk versus reward, even if I grew an extra limb or I got cancer or something weird, like that.
It sounds scary, Zach, but that would just aid in more study and technology to make that better. Someone has to do it,
right?
It's a little scary.
Rather
it's a little scary to say you would do it, but at the same time, yeah, that curiosity of if I do it and things don't
do.
Yeah, if I do it and things don't necessarily go as planned, whatever, worst case scenario versus best case scenario, something in between that spectrum happens, that might be a factor in helping another person down the road whenever
Right.
it gets more refined. So you think about it like that, and sometimes we do have to be that. Test guinea pig is not the right word, but in essence it is. But what it really is like maybe future proofing, helping the future. Maybe I'm trying to think of a word that's more ethical than test guinea pig. Science volunteers. Volunteers for mankind, Zach.
A contributor of
A
sorts.
contributor, yes.
So it's weird because I think about it in the mentality of I would rather it be me than somebody else, because it's like if I am okay with, especially if I was to do something like that, I am okay with the outcome regardless of what it is, because I would rather deal with the consequences of something bad happening now as opposed to 10 years from now. And like, you saw the Tesla cars that were catching on fire and all that
That's
kind
I
of
was
stuff.
just about to bring that up.
Because there were rocks hitting the engine and it was just a whole bunch of bad things happening. And so they ended up having to adjust and refine that and turn it into what it is now. And now, it's like one of the safest cars on the road right now. And that's insane. And it took those trials and tribulations, those errors, and kind of having to go back to square one in a way to make it so that those things could happen. And honestly, like, even if it was not within my lifetime, like I would be very, very fulfilled in the concept of being able to do something like that. So I think I would do it. Like for sure. I think I would.
I mean, Zach, we talk about like, let's say the newest iPhone comes out, Zach, the iPhone 14, and it comes out and it's riddled with bugs and deficiencies. There's still like that in the 13 and iOS 15, you know? How can they get that wrong if it was in years of production? It's been in the factory. It's being tested. You never know until it reaches mass population, until it reaches human real world usage and interaction, not factory made interaction, you know?
Yeah.
It takes that little bit, even though like you can run all the numbers you want, you can crunch all the numbers you want. There's still going to be a scenario where there is a bug gets encountered, where something can be modified for better interfacing. There's always that type of thing. And then not even just like the Tesla cars catching flames, but self-driving.
Yeah.
It crashing. You know, I mean, it never it's okay. I'm not sure because I don't really read on it, but I'm pretty sure they don't claim to be self-autonomous. So you can't just like straight up, all right, let's go. You have to, you know, be on the wheel and fix it, right? So it's more of a, or am I thinking the other way around? Is autonomous the one where you have to like, you know, adjust if you need to, or is self-driving like, it's one or the other. One of them means you have to actually, you know, be ready to correct the wheel if you need to. And then the other one is, you know, just say, all right, press a button to McDonald's. I'm going to read my manga now. You do your thing.
Yeah.
It got put into the road, Zach, and what happened, Zach? It crashed.
Yep.
A couple times. Not a lot, but it did. And you may think, okay, well, it only crashed like a couple times. That's not just a couple times. That's a couple lives. That's a couple families affected by those lives. That's a couple injuries and hospital reports. That's a couple funerals.
Yeah.
So, and it's so morbid to say this, Zach, and I'm so sorry, but we all know it. So I'm going to be the person to say it. That needed to happen. It needed to crash a couple times. It needed to take some lives. And that sounds so bad. I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I'm going to be the person to say it. I don't personally, ethically think that's a good thing. But I know for the sake of what it needs to be, it had to happen. And I think those people who signed up for it and chose to trust self-driving, I think they knew what they were signing up for.
Right.
And yes. I need you to defend me because I sound like a terrible person right now. or fight me. I don't care. Let's do it. Let's go, Zach. Let's go.
No, I'm not going to fight you because I agree with you.
I'm going to... I'm a ghoul. Get fucked.
So... Anyway, so I think a lot of people don't really realize that sometimes it takes something really fucking bad happening for attention to be brought to certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about, you know, you can go as far back as you want. Like you talk about the fact that they were using radium for everything. And no one knew that it was causing cancer and it was radioactive and like all of these really bad things until it was brought to their attention. And then they made the changes that they had to make so that they could make it safer to handle, make it safer for this to be implemented into day-to-day life without people getting cancer and all of those types of things. And you talk about, you know, the evolution of nuclear energy and, you know, the Chernobyl accident and all of those types of things like that in and of itself. Obviously, it was a disaster. There were a lot of lives lost over the course of those events, but sometimes it takes those events happening for special attention and care to be taken to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again. And so, you know, even talking about Tesla, like, they don't know what they need to change or improve unless they see the mistakes that are being made. And that's, like you said, it's morbid, but it's also just a fact of life. That's just kind of how it works, because there's no way for you to be able to perfect something unless you're allowing something to be able to make mistakes. And obviously, I'm not saying that Papa Elon was like, I know that some people are going to die, but that's okay for the greater good of my company. No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
No.
What I'm saying is that there are certain inherent risks with being in any type of industry.
Mm-hmm. I think he definitely had to swallow that pill, though. You know.
Yeah.
Because being the one to green light self-driving or autonomous driving or whatever phrase it is, someone can correct me.
I'm pretty sure it's self-driving.
I think it's self-driving. I think autonomous means that you don't. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think fully autonomous vehicles mean you don't, and that doesn't exist yet.
Right.
At least
but
not.
That doesn't mean that it won't.
It won't. Yeah, it will at some point. But what will it take to get there is going to be what it takes.
Yeah.
We can't decide that. And Papa Elon definitely had to, he had to be the one to check mark. Okay, at some like doing all this self-driving testing, all a bunch of stuff. He had to be the one to say, okay, this is enough. Let's let the people have it.
Let's ship them out.
Let's ship them out. He had to make the decision, and then because of that decision he made, is going to affect how many people get affected by things that go wrong with it. So he definitely has that pill to swallow, and he probably swallows that pill every single night. I'm sure he's maybe he is or maybe he isn't. You know what? No, I'm gonna play good cop here. I think that no matter how much billionaire status you want to call Elon and stuff like that, how much meme worthy he is, he's still a human being. If someone lost their life because of something that was just through trickle down his fault, I'm sure he's like, fuck, man, shit. I'm not the one who killed him, but where's the line draw? I'm the one who sold him a Tesla. I'm the one who checkmarked self-driving. I'm the one who started this company,
The hard thing to distinguish is how much of it is actually his fault and how much of it is human error. Because you think about how self-driving in its early stages was supposed to be implemented. You're supposed to be very vigilant of what's going on around you and making sure like, hey, I hope I don't crash. I need to make sure that I don't crash because I can't put 100% of my trust into this. And then there are people who are willing to take the risk of being 100% like hands off, like, all right, this is cool. I hope I don't die. And then something bad happens. Like you can't calculate human error. And I think that is definitely one of the hardest pills to swallow for anyone who's making anything that could be potentially dangerous in any regard. Like even with technology like laptops or like anything like that, like you can't stop someone from accidentally setting their fucking computer on fire somehow by mishandling it in such an outrageous way. Obviously, you're not going to calculate for that when you're doing testing because when you're trying to test things for release for the general public, you're not going to test them like just the stupidest fucker you would ever meet. Just like some Joe Schmo who would definitely put a fork in an outlet. Like those types of people. You can't calculate for that.
Now, to be fair, those type of people will, life will take its course and hopefully
natural.
There we go. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but those people will be gone. But I understand what you mean. It's like it's the fault of both parties. Human error and use, because no matter how much we want to think it can be, technology cannot operate in the same wavelength as humans. Which is why I think the only true number one way we will ever have fully safe automated driving is if we do 100% no manual driving. Every car is electronic. No car has a fucking steering wheel. Every car speaks to each other. So now there is no human interaction with the way it operates on the road. There's human interaction with like the interface. Oh, let me change the AC and shit, That's fine. But as far as the function of getting from point A to point B is automatic. You can't do anything. There's no wheel. There's no gas pedal. There's no brakes. Oh, actually, no. Maybe we put a brake. But maybe it's so safe that we don't need a brake. Actually, no. Maybe we probably do. Because, I mean, what if a fucking plane comes crashing down? You probably want a brake if you see that shit. I don't know. But on the road, well, no, because planes will be electric and they speak with the car. You see what I'm saying, Zach? Everything, technology needs to speak to itself.
What about deer?
Deers will be electronic too, Zach. All animals will be robots.
Pigeons or spy cameras?
Listen, that's what needs to happen. And because you say, there could still be a deer in the headlights, that no matter what, no matter how smart our sensors can be, a car cannot not stop 100% of the time. No matter what, I don't care. I don't care how good the thermal sensors are. I don't care. Deer pops out from the bushes at 0.1 second. No shot, Zach. No shot. But for cars, from getting from here, point A to point B, McDonald's, every car needs to be electronic, and every car needs to have some sort of chip in them that communicates with other cars, whether that be because we're all this is a Tesla only society, or all electric, all car manufacturers handshake on some sort of universal chip that every single company who produces EVs will communicate with each other from. That needs to happen. I hope that happens, and I hope they understand that, and I hope they don't. I mean, we were saying competition is a good thing, but I hope we can at least handshake on the fact that, okay, maybe we should be able to talk with each other,
Mm-hmm.
We should have this handshake SoC chip thing, or whatever the fuck it ends up being in all of our cars. And then from there, then we can start competing with each other. That needs to happen. Will that happen in our timeline, Zach? In our lifetime? I don't think that. I think we will be able to have all EVs in a more commodity, even for older folk. I think so. But 100% EV society is not gonna come for maybe not even the next lifetime, because there's too much that's business, Zach. There's too much business. There's money on the line on that.
Mm-hmm.
Money doesn't care about lives, about humans, Zach. Humans are pawns. Humans make the money. That's what business is, Zach. You can't forget that. No matter how you feel about it. You can say, fuck you, big corporations. They're like, all right. Tweet about how shit my product is so I can get more exposure. Pussy. I'm paraphrasing.
Damn, I hate how real that was.
I'm a realistic person, Zach. It's just how it has to be. And you can be mad about it, or you can say, that's what it is. And you can just look forward.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You can be a massive bitch and be pussy about it and whine about it, or you can understand, okay, these type of things have always happened. Zach, a couple thousand years ago, motherfuckers would just like, oh, look at this sword. It's so sharp. Let me test it real quick. Yep, that's pretty sharp. Later, nerd.
For people who don't really realize, gladiators, like the movie Gladiator, that shit actually happened.
It happened.
Like ancient Rome went fucking hard. Like they did not fuck around over there. And like Vikings, yeah, they actually existed. And like they would literally destroy entire civilizations of people for the fuck of it.
For some beer.
For some beer.
For some alcohol. For some booze.
For some booze and maybe some shiny things. But probably not.
I think just the alcohol.
Yeah.
That's all the Vikings. That's all man would care about.
Yeah. And when you think about the grand scheme of things, I've said that a lot this episode.
This is the theme of this episode. Grand scheme of things.
The grand scheme of
the
things.
bigger picture.
The bigger picture.
Life.
There is always going to be some type of malicious intent.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be selfish people doing things for selfish reasons. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, because it's like, fuck you, dude, selfish asshole. But there may be a time, probably not in our lifetime, where people can just realize, like, oh, if I'm not an asshole to you, then you won't be an asshole to me. Oh, wow. Fucking that one chick at McDonald's who wouldn't give me an extra patty on my double fucking cheeseburger. Asshole.
Wait, so they give you one patty?
Yeah. I ordered a double cheeseburger and they gave me one patty, and I was like, can I have one patty? And they're like, no. Let me see your receipt. And I was like, okay, here's my receipt. And they were like, nah, fuck you.
What?
And I was like, can I have a refund then? And they were like, no. And they were like, I'm going to call the cops on you. And I'm like, fucking do it, dude. Have fun. Like, yeah, cool. Whatever.
Okay, see, if you were going to say, I ordered a double cheeseburger and then asked for a third patty, then I would have been like, what the fuck, Zach? But no. You ordered a burger, a food item that contains 2 patties, and you obtained 1 patty,
Mm-hmm.
but you were charged for as if it were to obtain 2 patties,
Mm-hmm.
and you are in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Just making sure I heard that right. All right.
Yeah. So I
So-
was wrong for ordering something on the menu and expecting to get it. But anyways, I lost where I was going, and
There's just bad people and with bad intent, and selfish people.
Selfish people will do things for selfish reasons, and it's hard to understand why they will do things like that. But at the same time, there will always be an equal amount, if not more, good people who actually have a heart and a soul and understand that people have feelings and there are reactions to their actions and consequences. And so I just hope that the people who are handling things like, safety and the fact that we are trusting our lives on these machines that are going down the highway at 70 miles an hour, I hope that they do it right.
However long that takes.
However long that takes, right? But Arthur, let's go rock climbing.
Yeah, you do want to go rock climbing after this. What? How long would we be going for? I feel like this is a shorter one.
125.
125 is a little bit shorter, although it's a little hectic right now. It's the weekend. Halloween is tomorrow.
Yep.
Got a lot of things happening. I have 2 hours of sleep in me right now, and I was up at 8 a.m. I'm wearing literally just straight leather on my face, and it's hard to breathe. But guess what, Zach? I can still do it. And if I can do it, you can wear a mask. All right.
All right, Leatherface, let's close it out.
Geez, Zach, it's so hard to breathe.
Okay, we're not getting into that right now. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Of course, unhinged as always, because we don't have a script anymore.
We don't have a script anymore.
So if you guys enjoyed,
It was not a script, to be fair. That's a joke. It was more of ideas that we bounce off of each other, and it's topics.
yeah, no, it's just a Google Doc of different ideas and topics and whatnot.
Just kidding. It's a script. Fuck you. It's a script. It's a whole playwright.
We're just making it more confusing. Anyways, so if you guys enjoyed the episode and want to see more of it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And hit the like button if you liked. There's another button there if you didn't like it, whatever. We got Patreon that hasn't been set up yet. We got Coffee. We got Twitter, Facebook. No, we don't have Facebook. Got so many socials. Go check them out. if you want to see more of Arthur or myself, there's some links down below for that. And yeah, at this point, I'm just rambling and waiting for you to get done with whatever you're doing.
You got this kind. Sorry. All right.
Okay. All right.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
I can finally see. I'm glad. Thank God.
Good.